Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. Today is a short episode about the conversation that I had the opportunity to have with James Shaw. James is a pretty cool guy. I had the opportunity to meet him for the first time on a run. He and I went running with my friend Kelsey, and we ran, I don't know, 9 or 10 miles together. And this was back when I was running. I haven't run in a while. And the conversation was great. And I learned a heck of a lot about him as a human. And then fast forward, he actually invited me to be a guest speaker at one of his events. And it was such a pleasure. His people love him. And he's the kind of leader that you want to follow because his people love him. And if you've listened to the episode, you've heard that during the pandemic, he created this 20-minute conversation that has lasted for 4 years and has really changed the face of 117,000 people's real estate journey. Like, that's a big deal. And he didn't do it intentionally, and yet he did it with intention. And I think there's power in that. He said a couple things that I thought were really important and worth recapping. My favorite, though, I think, is he recognized that he needed to have some wisdom in the space. However, he said, I don't need to be the library. I need to be a good librarian. And his idea behind that is that he doesn't have to have all the answers, but he needs to know where to find them. I think that's a life lesson we all need, is to recognize when I don't have the answers, I know where to look. I know who to ask. I surround myself with people who are good at this sort of thing. I can use my resources and I can flex that well. So it really actually brings me all the way back to my freshman year of college. My freshman year of college, I went to Catawba College, shout out, in Salisbury, North Carolina, and I was a biology major because I wanted to teach biology. So I was in my first biology class, and the professor said, I want you to use all your resources for this test. Make sure you use all your resources. He said it probably 10 times. And I'm thinking, okay, resources, book, notes. All right, got it. I made a 62 on that first test. Everybody else in my class failed except this one kid who sat in the front. And our professor, Dr. Coggins, said, what did you do to pass this test? And he said, well, he said, my brother took this class last year and he told me to study the pictures in the margins of the book because all the questions were going to come from those. Y'all, I hadn't even looked at the pictures. I was reading text like I was some sort of smarty pants, and I completely ignored the diagrams and the pictures. And that was literally where every single test question came from. And Dr. Coggins taught me a really powerful lesson that term, lots of them really. But the lesson was your resources are people. They're not just things. The people around you are the ones that can really change things and make them better and help you figure things out. And that's what James reminded me of during this session was, you know what? You don't have to have all the answers, but you do need to use your resources, and your resources are people as much as they are things. So what in your life do you need some extra resources on? And who are those resources going to be? Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a colleague, maybe it's somebody who is in your workspace that you don't know very well yet. Maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a book, but use your resources. We live in a day and age now where resources are abundant, and you have to cut down the noise a little bit too. Just because it's on the internet doesn't make it true. But we do have access to so much information. Why do we choose to live in the dark on some things? So do your homework, be the librarian, find the answers, and then be willing to share them with your people. The other thing that James said that I thought was really important is that he knows how to outsource and put it back on his community and say, hey, what does everybody think about this? Does anybody have any expertise in this space? There is so much power in recognizing that you don't have to hold all the answers, but that the people you're with probably do. That's the whole reason I started this podcast. I have the privilege of talking to so many brilliant people, and I wanted other people to hear the conversation. So that's my goal with Productive Joy, is to give you the opportunity to listen in with some really smart people who are doing some great stuff that's replicable that you can turn around and do too. So, for this episode of Productive Joy, what little nugget of wisdom are you going to take with you? Maybe you're just going to remind yourself that you don't have to be the library. You can just be the librarian and have the access to all of the information. Don't be afraid to not know the answer. That's actually where the learning starts. So I hope that today was an inspiration to you, a thought provoking moment where you said, you know what? Yeah, I do actually know where to go for the information, and I'm going to choose to go there because it's not scary. It's actually kind of fun. So, for today, for productive joy, what I want you to do more than anything is find a way to make sure that fun meets action.